Here, Friday Night Fights. We've had outstanding fights so far. Every round has been scintillating. We expected the main event to be outstanding. Kassim Ouma, former world titleist, against K9 Cornelius Bundrage of the Contender. It's time for the main event. Kassim Ouma has been to the top in the boxing game, but needs a win tonight to maintain his once sparkling career. In 2004 and 2005, impressive wins in moving to the top of the junior middleweight division. But he was dethroned by Roman Karmazin, losing a decision in July of 2005. From there, he stormed back, had several quality wins, including this 8th-round TKO against Francisco Mora. And then in a showdown of young contenders, he would easily outpoint Sekou Pal in August of 2006. Ouma was busy again, and the dream was alive. And then a big step up, literally, to 160 pounds and the middleweight champion of the world, Jermaine Taylor. Ouma was hit early and often by the larger man. Ouma showed a lot of heart, but was really never close to becoming the undisputed world champion on that night. He was unable to stay busy after this loss, and it was a full 11 months later where he had real disappointment. An upset split decision loss to Saul Roman in November of last year. Tonight, he recognizes the importance of a win.
It's like I got to win, you know, and the guy that I'm fighting, he wants to win too. And it's not an easy guy, he's a hard hitter. He got more wins than me, but it's a dog, you know. I don't smoke, so he won't smell what he won't smell me, he won't be able to bark.
K9 Bundrage has been smoking, became a celebrity in the Contender. A big, sturdy fighter with a big right hand at his very best in September of 06, winning 3rd place in the Contender, beating a spirited Norberto Nito Bravo. But then last year, he stepped up, took a fight with rising star Joel Julio on 3 weeks' notice, had to lose 35 pounds, and it showed. After this loss, he knows he needed to revitalize his career, and tonight he knows he's facing one of the busiest fighters in the game.
Angles. You know, he's going to probably be coming straight in, so I'm going to shoot an angle and then go straight in, catch him while he's off guard. Angles, and, you know, Teddy told me about, you know, I need to work on a jab, so, you know, I got a jab too. So what's going to really be the key, I believe, though, is I'm going to have more than just the right hand. See, you know, he probably just ain't going to even respect the left hand. He going to be more looking out for the right hand.
K9 is 34 years old now, of course, from Detroit. Again, very strong, 27-3 overall with 16 knockouts. Kassim Ouma, 29 years old, 5'8", can throw 100 punches around. Time for Teddy's Fight Plan, brought to you by AutoZone.
With opening day coming this weekend, we're going to talk about some of our own pitching and catching that we're going to have for you tonight on the main event. Bundrage, who's always going to play, he's going to try to do some pitching. It's going to be with his fastball. And his fastball, it's a right hand, a powerful right hand. I'm going to play Ouma the southpaw. Now, Ouma would be well served to stay off the plate, or at least move to the right, away from that right hand and that danger. And also notice that Bundrage keeps his left hand low, and when he throws that jab, sometimes it's slow, and bang, right over it with the right hook. Maybe not a home run for Ouma, but at least a good, solid base hit. And whether it's 9 innings or it's 10 rounds, look for him to get that big win. We've established already that the man with the home run power is Bundrage, who I'll play, and it's with the right hand. But here's the trick. How's he going to connect to get it out of the park? Well, he's going to have to do it against this guy, Ouma, who's a southpaw, and he's aware of where that power is. So you know he's going to slide a little bit to his right and try to take that power away. Well, you know sometimes you show a bunt and then you hit. Well, I think that some way it's going to have to be a little bit of a decoy in there for Bundrage. Show a left hook, bang, and then a right hand. If he can do that, walk off homer, walk off win.
This place is filled up. Seneca Allegheny Casino and Hotel, their first big fight card. It's packed. It's a great crowd. They're excited to see world-class boxing, and they're about to get it. They've seen world-class boxing actually already, Teddy, just some younger guys.
Yes, they have.
It's been outstanding, but there's Kassim Ouma. He's been to the top. World titleist at 154 pounds. Again, mentioned he was dethroned by Roman Karmazin. That was a big upset in 2005, but he bounced back. You know, nobody really expected, well, maybe few expected Uma to beat Jermaine Taylor and become the middleweight champion of the world. But, Teddy, it was the loss against Saul Roman, the next one, that really hurt his career, and that's why this is so urgent for him tonight.
Yeah, he's not used to being in this position, coming off 2 straight losses, the former champion, Uma.
Settle ring, gentlemen.
Steve Smoger is your referee as he gets the 2 fighters together.
Please obey my commands, respect the bell, and above all, protect yourself at all
K9
times.
says when you come off a loss, the phone gets awfully quiet. He says, I want my phone ringing off the hook after this one.
You know, Bundridge may be something to look for. He's been cut twice in his last 4 fights over both eyes.
Bundridge with the outstanding physique.
Hit it hard, girl.
Very strong guy at junior middleweight. Uma really just looks small at 154. That's why it was surprising that he was even getting the shot at Jermaine Taylor. But he is busy, he's loose, and throws a ton of punches.
And he's a southpaw. And southpaws, sometimes they get hit with right hands, and Bundridge has a good one. He's got power in it, but he needs to have something to set it up, and he hasn't always had that, and that's a left hand. We always call that left hand the table setter for the right hand. A lot of times, quite honestly, Bundridge has gone in there, and he's gone right to the table eating with his fingers. He doesn't set anything up. He needs to set it up with the former world champion with some kind of left hand.
Uma tentative so far. You can see K9 strong and quick at the outset. Tries to go to the body.
Uma needs to move where he's moving right now, to his right, away from the power punch, the right hand, not to his left. If you see Uma move to his left, that was a low blow there. If you see Uma move to his left, you're going to see Bundridge's eyes light up.
Steve Smoger with the warning there, as that was a low shot right on the belt line. At what point, Teddy, would you want to see Uma bring up the work rate?
Well, early on, you want to respect the power of Bundridge, get a good look for him, and get into defensive gear.
So you're not worried about it round 1?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Step out, step out.
I know he's coming off 2 straight losses. You want to get that positive flow going again, but you don't want to walk into a right hand either. Offense will be there. Let's make sure the defense and the defensive responsibility is paid attention to for Uma.
Uma can be hit. He took some real clean shots, real tough shots against Jermaine Taylor, but he has a world-class chin.
He has been knocked out 1 time, and Bundridge is hoping,
Get off his neck.
and it would be the hope with the right hand to make that 2 times.
I think we've showed a good bit of the Kassim the Dream documentary that will debut next month.
Don't
And
push him down,
we showed many different
Fight
parts
clean.
about, of course, his horrific upbringing in Uganda, forced into military service. But basically, if you see this guy outside of the ring, Teddy, he is smiling. He has a lot of love in his heart.
No, he does. He's got a real charismatic way about him. When you meet him, he lights up a room. Sometimes he can light up a ring. Right now, he needs to light up that southpaw jab. See, you made a good point, Brian. Would you like to see some offense? Well, I want to see defense from Uma, but I'd like to see at least a jab. That doesn't really risk you a lot if you throw the jab at the right time, the right distance. And the southpaw can be effective with that right-handed jab.
We're just warming up in the main event. Kassim Uma and Cornelius Bundridge.
He has it. Action from the last round, you're going to see that low blow there. And then you're going to see right here the low blow a little bit. And you're going to see Uma moving to his right away from that power hand. Now he has to find a way to create offense while moving away from that power.
He's already come out here in the second round, Teddy, throwing that jab, that right jab, and now moving forward, a much more active Kassim Uma. Again, he wanted to fight right after that loss to Jermaine Taylor, which, again, not many people were expecting him to win. And he put up a very tough shot. That was a low shot again by K9.
First of all, you're initiating too many holds. Okay. Second of all, that's your second low blow. Okay, fight clean. Okay, you understand?
That's a good warning there by Steve Smoger. He doesn't want to get into the official warnings, but he made it clear. Okay, you're now in that zone where I'm going to start I can take a point away on my next one.
Good warning by a good referee.
Yeah.
Only once when he has to, takes control of the fight without stopping the fight, without destroying the rhythm of a fight.
Exactly, until he needed to, and he needed to.
Yes,
on
sir.
the second shot.
There's a reason why Steve Smoger has been involved in so many great fights. You know, Uma's a little out of control. He's lunging in his upper body ahead of his lower body. I haven't seen him out of sync like that before. He's usually pretty good fundamentally. You get out of control like that with your upper body leaning forward. You saw it again there. You can leave yourself wide open to an uppercut. If I'm in the corner of Bundrich, I say, look, we know right hand is your meal ticket. Let's make it, instead of straight, let's make it an uppercut.
K9 starts to go to the body and now starts to get physical on Uma. Look, that's what Bundrich would like. He'd like that to be fought at close quarters where he can muscle him up.
No, actually, Ryan, I'll differ with you there. I'll tell you why. He's more physical inside, but Bundrich's not a good inside fighter. He needs a little room for that right hand. He has not really learned, and you can see it right there, how to really fight on the inside. That's where Uma can have an advantage, even though Bundrich is stronger.
But if he's leaning on him, Teddy, and muscling up on him early in this fight, you don't think that? I think that would favor Bundrich.
No, he'll move him around a little bit, wrestle him a little bit, but since this is not wrestling, leave that to Floyd Mayweather Jr.
And the Big Show.
Yes, leave it to those two, but since this tonight is not wrestling, I think it would favor Uma, because Uma's a pretty good inside fighter.
Yeah, when those guys go over the fight plan, Teddy, it's the fight plan. No, guys, this is what we're doing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not Teddy's tips.
No, the fight choreography.
Kassim Uma and K9 Bundrich, and again, mentioned Uma after the loss to Jermaine Taylor wanted to get right back into the ring. Fights kept falling through on him. He didn't fight until 11 months later. So I wonder, how is his timing now, Teddy? Is he fighting often enough to have that timing and that rhythm and that flow?
Well, it's not there right now, but I'd like to see him concentrate more on that southpaw jab.
Final seconds of round 2. Round 3, main event, Kassim Uma, Cornelius Bundrich. Teddy, I would say my early view on this, Teddy, I just look at Kassim Uma. I don't see a lot of fire early. It doesn't mean it can't arrive, but I just don't see it now. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is when there's distance like there was a moment ago, Bundrich can be very effective with that right hand. My thoughts is if there's not fire, if he's sleepwalking a little bit, and I understand what you're saying, he's in there with a guy that suddenly can wake him up or actually put him to sleep with that right hand. So Uma has to make that mental adjustment. You know, it's tough for a guy like Uma because former world champion, I know this is no excuse, but they're human beings, and they're affected by human emotions. And sometimes a guy like Uma doesn't get up for a guy like Bundrich, and it's no excuse. He'll pay a price if he doesn't.
Well, exactly. He had a split decision loss to Saul Roman last time out. That's the one that really hurt his career, not the loss to Jermaine Taylor. But again, here, you can't afford too many L's. That hurts your marketability, hurts what you get paid, hurts the fights that you get into.
Well, right now what's hurting is Bundrich on the inside, and again, he's really not acclimated to inside fighting, but he was smart enough to smother Uma and not allow Uma to do anything.
Good uppercut there by Bundrich. And now Uma comes back and goes straight up the middle, lands some shots.
Uma should be in control on the inside. He's a guy that puts short punches together on the inside, and so far, he's not doing it. He's allowing Bundrich to be in a territory that usually Uma shines in.
See, I do like, let's get back to Steve Smoger for a second. Smoger's letting them fight out of this, Teddy, and that's an excellent job by him. You don't have to say break every 5 seconds. You can let him fight out. You can tell him to fight out of it, and they are, even though there's quite a bit of clinching there, and at that point, he pulls back to K9. The mouthpiece came out there, I guess that on Uma. Smoger will stop the action. So early on, Teddy, I think we've seen the Cornelius Bundrich we expected. You know, he's a strong guy. He's bringing it. He didn't get this on short notice. He had plenty of time. He said, you're going to see the best K9s. You're not going to see K8, but are we seeing the best Kassim Uma?
And right now, you're seeing the right hands of Bundrich when there's distance. And again, Uma on the inside, and Bundrich, again, not really an inside fighter. He needs room to punch, but what he's doing is he's smothering Uma. Uma needs to take a little step back and I think dominate a little bit on the inside.
Step out, step out.
Wild right hand you saw a moment ago by Bundrich. That was responding to a kind of an uppercut, a little roughhouse tactics, almost a forearm from Uma on the inside, but Uma's getting frustrated by getting muscled up.
See,
in a clean right hand.
Brian, I don't think the danger for Uma's on the inside once he's in there. I think the danger is on his way in, right there. That's where the danger is for Uma, because Bundridge has the right hand, and he needs a little distance to get it off.
Yeah, Bundridge has a contact zone that's a very dangerous place. We've fought 3 rounds.
Step out.
Here are the Ring Magazine rankings at junior middleweight, and Teddy, I think Kassim Uma should be at least heartened to see Verno Phillips upset Corey Spinks last night. He has 2 wins over Phillips, and at the very least, look, you have De La Hoya who's doing his thing. He's going to fight Floyd Mayweather in the fall, more than likely. But there are openings. You know, there's an opening now to march toward the top, mainly for Uma, also for Bundridge, but mainly for Uma.
I agree, and Uma, as you pointed out early on, needs to get the mental part of his game together so the physical part will follow suit. Get himself into that sort of zone that he needs to be in. Early on, looks like he's doing a little bit of sleepwalking.
Yeah, I don't see him locked in. I just don't. Again, he might be able to turn it on. Here's Teddy's scorecard right now. He's got Bundridge winning 2 of the 3 rounds early on. Look, you know, Kassim Uma is a gregarious fellow. He has a smile that lights up the place. He wanted me to give a shout out to Vic and Rena Damone. Yes, that Vic Damone, friends of his in Florida. He said, can you give a shout out to somebody? I said, to who? It depends. He said, Vic Damone. I said, yes. To Vic Damone, there's the shout out from Kassim Uma.
Well, Vic Damone better shout back to him to start using that southpaw jab. Right now, Uma moving the wrong direction. That's why he's coming close to eating right hands. He's moving straight ahead and to his left. He should move to the right, away from that power hand. Really, the only punch that you have to respect in the arsenal of Bundridge.
And yet, when he starts digging in the way he just did, he's a dangerous man. He planted. And when he can plant, and Uma's going to stand right in front of him, you're in a dangerous place. K9 can't punch.
And again, that danger for Uma, Brian, it's not once he's in close.
Oh, K9 is
it's on
bloody
the way
now.
out.
Cornelius Bundridge was cut. Blood is flowing now from above the left eye.
Well, we said it right at the top. I said that he's been cut 2 of his last 4 fights, and also Uma, a guy who's not afraid to move that head around on the inside. I don't know if it was from a punch or a head, but Uma has been involved with headbutts before.
Well, that just woke up Kassim Uma. Now he sees blood, and he sees his chance. Bundridge was, oh, and there's a big shot.
Again, the right hand has to be respected of Bundridge, and it has to be respected as Uma comes in.
Real urgency here. That cut is on the outside part of the eyelid, so it's not flowing right into his eye, but certainly both guys feeling it now, as this fight has changed quite a bit with that cut.
And again, you can see Uma on the inside, not afraid to put that head down a little bit and present it.
4th round, and didn't see exactly where it opened up. There was a lot of scuffling on the inside. It could have come from a clash of heads, but that has opened up, and there's a lot of blood flowing from an open wound over the left eye of Cornelius Bundridge. Again, the flow is not directly into his eyeball, though.
And the man who's going to have the responsibility of stopping that cut is William Bernard in Bundridge's corner.
Bell.
Hey, college hoops fans.
You're doing good, all right?
They're working on a cut in the corner of Bundridge. We're going to take a peek back and try to find where that happened for you at home. And right here, there's no blood right now. You can see absolutely no blood there now. They're on the inside. I mentioned earlier that Uma not afraid to move that head around on the inside. No punches have been thrown on the inside. You can see the head was scraping a little bit. Presto, there's blood. So we would have to say from that visual evidence that most likely the head caused that cut, Brian.
And again, there was that hook that kind of drove his head back toward Kassim Uma's head. Uma immediately pounced on Bundridge. You can see the cut, if they can stop the flow of blood, should not stop this fight. But if Uma can open that up, we've got a messy situation, and we know eventually it could stop the fight. They've already gone through 4 rounds, so it could go to the scorecards if they have to stop it here on an accidental foul.
And Uma has been involved with a technical draw from, guess what, head clashes earlier in his career.
See, Bundridge is really trying to keep his head away from those clashes now because it could easily be opened up just when they're leaning on each other's shoulders. So that should open things up where Bundridge will not want to initiate those wrestling moves.
And that would serve him because, again, Bundridge needs room to be effective with his most effective punch, the right hand.
He's very cognizant, Teddy. You can see him. That's changed. He cannot just move his head from shoulder to shoulder on Kassim Ouma anymore. That will open up that eye.
And I don't think he should be on the inside. He needs room to exploit, as I said.
I'll tell you, if you initiate
the one weapon that he has, the right hand.
Get a point. Now it's going to be point time, okay?
Steve Smoger jumping in saying you initiate that again, it's going to be point time. So again, he's given the warnings on fouls. They were low blows, but now bringing up the forearm. I believe that's what he said, Teddy. He said next time it's point time. So again, well handled by Smoger.
He doesn't wait until there's weeds in the garden. He starts pulling those weeds early. Doesn't wait for those flowers to get choked.
And yet he's been very clear about, okay, next time it will be points. You don't want that because in a fight like this, look, 1 point could really swing things either way. It's been close.
And I think it's safe to say Ouma has awakened from his a little bit of drowsy state.
Now the blood starts to flow. Again, but on the side of the eye where it's not flowing right into. And there's a shot as he took a knee. And now the international bow saying he's sorry. There's the sprinkling of blood. Again, it looks kind of gruesome, but it is not flowing into his eyeball. Clean right hand that time from Bundridge. Cuffed Ouma at the very least.
And again, as I said earlier, you will not see much from Bundridge in close. He's not really a developed inside fighter. He needs room.
Ouma's trying to get loose that time. He didn't even want to rub heads at that point with Bundridge. Oh, there's a big shot.
And what shot? The right hook that we talked about in the fight plan. The right hook over that slow extended left hand of Bundridge. Bundridge had two problems with that left hand. One, he doesn't use it effectively as a weapon. And two, he leaves himself vulnerable defensively because he pushes it out.
That was the best shot of the fight, best punch landed of the fight, and it led to more scoring opportunities for Kassim Ouma. This fight has changed.
In the fight plan, we talked about this hand being left out too long and this hook coming right over this way. Take a look right here. Last round, left hand being left out there, right hook coming right over.
Round 6 now, and through 3, Cornelius Bundridge was frustrating Kassim Ouma in his corner. They said to K9, you're frustrating him. Did you know that? And K9 said, he said, no. Am I? And yeah, he was doing a good job, Ouma. You mentioned the word sleepwalking. I said there wasn't much fire in Ouma. Once that cut occurred, which occurred from just, we believe, a clash of heads or rubbing of heads together, that woke up Ouma, who went to work, and this fight has changed quite a bit here in round 6.
In the old days, they used to use smelling salts. You use a little blood, and hey, guy gets revived.
There's that sense of urgency that was not here in the opening 2 or 3 rounds. Teddy's scorecard now, it's still close. Rounds to be won, and again at the start of every round, they're doing a good job on that cut. So it's kind of a clean opening minute. K9 can go to work in that minute without any blood.
And without any left jab. He needs to use that jab to keep a little distance, keep Ouma off him, and create a passageway for the right hand.
Corner, Teddy, you mentioned that you saw him off balance. They were talking about balance in the corner, saying, look, balance here, get into it. Want to stay up on, stay straight on your feet.
He made that correction. And what he still has to worry about, Ouma, the danger will be there all night long as Bundridge is there. Ouma has to be careful on the way in. Careful of that right hand. Ouma can be very vulnerable, and you saw the proof of it right there as he leans a little top-heavy to the uppercut. The problem is Bundridge does not really have a large repertoire of offense. It's usually a pushing jab and then either looping or straight right hand.
No punch, step.
Bundridge would serve himself well to try to increase that repertoire, try to improve the choices that he has offensively.
Well, he'll make it ugly. He made it ugly a lot of times in the Contender, but the fact was, when they started the Contender, remember they had that playground draft. He was drafted last, so not much was expected. But then he went through Michael Clark, Walter Wright, and then knocked out Nito Bravo after losing to Stevie Forbes.
Quite honestly, Brian, Bundridge has had 3 times he significantly has stepped up in class of competition, and they represent his 3 losses.
Yep.
And if we haven't noticed, tonight is another significant step up in class for Bundridge.
Still close after 6 rounds here in the main event. Brian Kenny and Teddy Atlas here ringside. When we heard from Floyd Mayweather, his conversation with Robert Flores earlier in the night. Teddy, what are your thoughts on the reigning welterweight champion of the world getting into the wrestling ring?
Well, you know, I have a little bit of a surprise for you. Right here, I have who wins.
Do you really?
Yes, right here.
They gave that out. Who knew?
Who knew? In this envelope,
yes.
Who? No, I don't really have
Yeah, that's worth $5 million, I hear.
But you know what? It's nice, I guess, to be able to get into a ring and actually know what's going to happen.
And still get paid.
And still get paid.
That's it. Why not? Yeah.
I think we would do it if we could. Right?
Get the folding chairs. Hide the folding chairs.
Where do they keep those folding chairs?
Under the ring.
I was
right
looking
under the
around.
ring.
Where those exploding packets of blood? Where are those kept?
The ref never sees it. Oh, a dastardly act. We'll see again. Floyd Mayweather against the 400-pound Big Show. By the way, that is a real guy who's 400 pounds.
Yes,
so
yes, it is.
If you're going to choreograph a guy getting thrown out of the ring, make sure he gets caught, please. Floyd wants to fight Oscar in the fall.
Well, you know, sometimes we talk about the cut men being the most important people in the corner. The catchers are
that's right.
Very important, those catchers.
Hey, tell Russell Peltz, not that kind of catcher. You know when you say, I want a catcher? No. This is different. Back here to the main event, Kassim Ouma, Cornelius Bundridge, round 7. It was rather lackluster at the start, picked up in intensity after the cut.
Don't punch, step, good.
Here's the average punches landed before the cut through 3, and then after the cut as Ouma picks it up and Bundridge went a little south. You know, at some point, Bundridge has got to know that he's got to pick it up and is going to have to force the action and really let it fly if he's going to get a win here tonight, because round by round, you can see Ouma starting to win rounds. I believe collect rounds at the very least.
Ouma, or Bundridge, you talked about going south. He's going east-west right now, starting to use that ring a little bit.
Landed the right hand there.
And trying to stay away from Ouma. But what that's showing me is he's being affected by the pressure of Ouma. He's not standing his ground. He's not looking to sit down and, as he likes to say with his nickname, bite down on a right hand.
Take a look at Teddy's scorecard right now. That round again going to Ouma, so now he's got a 2-point advantage, at least according to Teddy. Seems like that's the way it's happening.
Now, both these fighters have a common opponent, Brian. Sechel Powell. Bundridge was knocked out in 1 round by Powell.
Simultaneous knockdowns with the first punch each man threw.
Yes, it
pretty
was.
incredible.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And Ouma won a 10-round decision when he fought Powell.
Sekou Powell's been bouncing back, too.
Yes, he has.
These are good fighters. Again, Ouma marched through the junior middleweight division, beating a lot of guys that we've seen through the years on Friday Night Fights. Alex Bonema, Michael Lerma, Verno Phillips, who just beat Corey Spinks last night, J.C. Candello, Coffee John Tua. It's a lot of quality. All wins.
This is the second time Bundridge is fighting a former world champion.
Crisp hook and right hand that time from Bundridge.
Of course, he lost the first time he fought a world champion. There's a right hand by Bundridge, and he needs to be finding more of those. And again, he's going to find them as Ouma comes in.
And Teddy, that's 4 thudding, clean shots that he's landed in this round. I mean, not just scoring shots, hurting shots. Ouma, again, has a great chin. But if you're a judge, now things start to swing back.
Well, that's the obvious, that he landed the right hand. Let's talk about also the obvious, but something that doesn't get talked about quite enough. There's no left hook behind it. That is where Bundridge is falling a little short right now.
Landing, though, with the right hand to the body and the head in the final seconds. We've fought 7. Let's go back to Robert Flores.
Okay, BK, last weekend, another candidate.
Katsides looked like he had Casamayor knocked out. I mean, getting knocked through the ropes where you have to climb back up, knowing a man is waiting to harm you when you get back up and climb through the ropes. An incredible effort by the ring champion at lightweight, Joel Casamayor.
Yeah, you know, I had an opinion on that fight. Early on, Katsides was going to have trouble. He was on the floor, he got off the floor, and he really made the fight interesting. Started coming on, started testing the older fighter's legs.
Steve Smoger says excessive holding to Cornelius Bundridge, and now he takes a point away. Well, you know, he did give quite a few warnings. We'll get back to that, Teddy, but he gave ample warnings to all sorts of things that he deemed as fouls, including low blows and a forearm, and now he takes a point away. And that could be a big point. That last round, I would have to go back to Bundridge, and this could be very close. Bundridge now sticking out the jab. Let up there for a moment, tried to take a breath. Uma sensed that, jumped on him. Crisp, snapping jab by Bundridge. Little emphasis on the jab in the last 30 seconds, Teddy.
And he needs that. Needs his setup punch. We said that right from the beginning.
And the blood is not flowing now. We're about a minute and a half into this round, and Bundridge is able to fight unencumbered, because that bothers you. When the blood is flowing on you, it has to bother you.
Stay up, stay up.
Those shots are borderline. You hear Steve Smoger. He's done an excellent job in this fight. Another crisp right hand. That landed on Uma. Uma keeps coming.
And again, the danger for Uma is on the way in. And I don't think Bundridge serving himself quite enough in those positions. Needs to get that right hand off before the gaps close. And would serve himself if he could adjust it to a right uppercut once in a while.
Take a look at Teddy's scorecard through 7. That last round he gave to Cornelius Bundridge. An interesting flow in this fight, Teddy, where the first 3, Uma was lacking fire. Uma picked it up after K9 was cut. K9 bothered by the cut and the flow of blood. And now in these last 2 rounds, Bundridge has really come back.
And again, as I said early, Ryan, you see evidence of it now. Bundridge's not comfortable fighting on the inside. You can see it right there. Doing a little pushing, you know, but always looking to get distance, as you saw right there. Look, no work on the inside.
And he needs this round too, Teddy, because you could be looking at a 10-8 round on the scorecards. You want to make it 9-9. A point is coming off of K9's ledger.
And again, you can see what's on the mind of K9. He's looking to catch Uma before the gap gets closed and catch him with the right hand. Right there. That's the danger place for Uma. Right in front and when there's room. There's no danger in close. I don't care how strong Bundridge is.
Pressure's good.
We'll take a look at where that point got taken away and why in the last round for the holding, the incessive holding right there, as Steve Smoger separates the fighter and takes the point away for excessive holding.
He looked right over to us to plead his case. We can't help you. Round 9, they'll fight 10. I agree with that call, by the way, against Smoger. Teddy had warned him twice for low blows, and then when he brought him over one time, he said 2 things, and if I recall correctly, I was trying to listen in, he said the forearm, I believe, and also excessive holding. So when it became excessive holding, which that was, at that point, he took a point away. Normally, I don't like that. In that case, I think he did the right thing.
And again, it's along the lines of a real good veteran referee trying to look out for the audience, look out for the sport, and make sure this fight has a chance of being as exciting as possible. And when there's holding, there's no chance of that.
You gave that 8th round to Cornelius Bundridge. In that case, it'd be 9-9, and we've got a close fight. Again, not every round is always conclusive. People who watch fights often, complain about the decisions, but, try it sometimes. Score every round, add it up. That's your decision. And not every round is easy.
Well, a moment ago, Bundridge made a decision to turn southpaw and throw a looping bomb of a left hand that missed, trying to catch Uma on the way in a little bit unexpectedly. Hey, believe it or not, you know what I've cited the last 30 seconds?
What's that?
A couple left hooks from Bundridge. You don't see many left hands, and especially not many left hooks. I just saw 2 of them from Bundridge. I think you'd like to see more of that if you're a backer of Bundridge, just to take the emphasis away from the right hand. Take the attention of Uma away from the right hand where he's looking for something else.
Sharp jab by Bundridge again. Again, it seems like Bundridge has to make a point of emphasis on the jab, but when he does, you know, he stands and snaps like when you're on, I don't know, in the bag, Teddy, and you just say, all right, this is my jabbing round. It seems to make a difference with him.
It's kind of like a golfer yelling four. You kind of know it's coming.
Oh, there's a good right hand. Lands flush on Kassim Ouma.
And again, distance and a little bit of a setup left hand, not a snapping left hand, a pouring, measuring left hand, and then the right hand.
Yeah, it's driving. You saw the difference there in the punch tracks as Bundridge is out jabbing Ouma by a wide margin.
I got to take a little knock at Ouma, and I like Ouma, but a former world champion should not get hit by those kind of right hands that are not set up by a jab. Again, Ouma should not be standing right in front of Bundridge when he knows that the one weapon that he has is that weapon. He should be moving to his right and taking that one weapon away, out of play for Bundridge.
Yeah, Ouma is a volume puncher. He gets hit, not a lot of power, so he has to operate at full throttle to be effective. And he did for a bunch of years, all the way up to, you know, the fight with Roman Karmazin that he lost, a split decision, and then even against Jermaine Taylor. But he needs more fire. Bundridge coming on late. This should be close. Hard ever at the Seneca Allegheny Casino and Hotel, and it's been interesting.
Let's take a look here at the right hand. First of all, there's distance, and you see this man standing right in front. He should be moving over here away from this. And because he doesn't, well, you're going to see that. A little pouring left hand, and then a straight right hand. Nothing complicated, nothing fancy. Right down the pike.
10th and final round, and both men come out with a lot of energy. Cornelius Bundridge, Kassim Ouma. A big right hand lands by K9s. Moves Ouma back, and now drives him against the ropes. Teddy's scorecard, he gives that one to Bundridge. So now he's got it to draw it. Teddy, you've got it even so far. And there have been some definitive rounds in this fight. A lot on the line in this bout. Again, for Ouma, a chance to get back, you would think, into the top 10. He's got 2 wins over Phillips, just beat Corey Spinks. He's got a great resume so far for Cornelius Bundridge. Again, he's 34, made a lot out of the contender, would like to have a quality win, and this would count as one.
Oh, it sure would. And again, a couple departments that Ouma, I believe, has been coming up short. One is on the inside. Bundridge not an inside fighter. Ouma used to be a good inside fighter, not showing that and not taking advantage of that in any way. Tonight also Ouma hurting himself, not moving away from the one weapon that has bothered him tonight, the right hand of Bundridge. Ouma stood in front like he is right now, much too often.
He's been caught over the last few rounds, really, and that cut, by the way, no longer a factor. It was in the middle rounds. It made a big difference. Bothered Bundridge, gave Ouma something to shoot for. Now some effective uppercuts from Ouma on the inside. Bundridge has already had a point taken away for excessive holding. He's got to be careful, clamping down on Uma's gloves. You know, this fight hasn't been a blockbuster, Teddy. This round, this type of action in this round, this is more what I expected to see right around round 3. We didn't get it.
Well, I talked about where Uma's hurt himself by not fighting inside, not moving more to the right, away from the right hand of Bundridge. Bundridge has served himself in the last 4 rounds by letting that right hand, his best weapon, go when there was distance to let it go.
He's doing it right there. You can see he digs down and plants. Likes to fire his favorite shot. Ouma at his best when he's relentless. He was at one point known for throwing over 100 punches per round. That has not been the case tonight. Most punches that he's thrown in any single round, 70s, Teddy. Again, he used to be well over 100 every round.
And a lot of those punches that you talk about that used to represent those high numbers was on the inside. And look, this is what you're getting. And that's why those numbers have dissipated so greatly right there. No working on the inside.
I think we've had good judging on this whole night, Teddy. It's going to go to Don Ackerman, Eddie Squinzio, and Julie Letterman. This is going to be interesting to see how they score this fight. It was interesting. Had a real ebb and flow by 2 world-class fighters. Ouma would like to get back toward the top. Bundridge would like a shot at being a real contender. Let's go back to Robert Flores. We'll be back with the decision in our main event. This is going to be an interesting decision in the main event. Kassim Ouma, Cornelius Bundridge, the Just for Men hair color punch track fight recap. And this is indicative of the way the fight went. Ouma landing more punches, but he had a lot of strong, hard shots by Cornelius Bundridge. Here's how Teddy Atlas had it. And looked at, you went with the flow with Bundridge coming on late, and you had him squeaking one out by 1 point, even with the point taken away.
Just working harder, nothing fancy the old-fashioned way. Maybe wanting it a little bit more down the stretch.
Yeah, we've had good fights tonight. We've had good judging as well. This will be interesting. Let's go to Mike Williams with the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the main event of the evening, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Julie Letterman scores the bout 96 to 93. Judge Eddie Scunzio scores the bout 95 to 94. Your third and final judge, Don Ackerman, scores the bout 96 to 93. All for the winner by unanimous decision, Cornelius K9 Bundridge.
You know, I have no problem with that fight going either way, Teddy. I'd have to say, though, as the scores are being called, I thought it was going to go to Ouma. Your thoughts?
I just thought that, quite honestly, Bundridge outworked him down the stretch. Just wanted maybe to find ways to work a little bit more than Ouma forced himself to find ways to work. And Bundridge, to his credit, about 4 or 5 rounds before the end, he started finding room for that right hand and started using some semblance of a left hand.
And it didn't look good. You just saw that cut. Middle rounds, it didn't look good for Bundridge. But he willed himself back in and earned a close decision over Kassim Ouma.